The word self-love came into prominence in 1950 by a group of American authors who collectively formed a group called Beat Generation. Prior to that, this word was unaware about this word. A mother loves her child. A child does not want to go to school. A child wants to drink Coke. Child wants to play video games. And mother is always objecting to that. But that is her love for the child. If a mother stops her child, you cannot say that she does not love her child. She loves her child. But on the contrary, when you talk about self-love, when you love yourself, you basically mean there's a freedom. You will do what you like to do. Don't tell me what to do. I have the complete freedom because the word has originated from America. The concept has originated from America. So that inherent principle of freedom is built into this self-love. There were a lot of movements in America. A lot of feminist movements were also there in America, where they promoted this word self-love. In fact, there was one group in America, they would write the word love on their hand. They would wear that symbol of love in their hand. So that was the kind of craze to promote this concept of self-love. You'll be surprised to know that most of the Christian philosophers, most of the Christian literators have opposed this concept of self-love. One of them went up to and said that self-love is a sin. Self-love is against love for God. The church has outright rejected this word self-love. In India, relatively, this word is quite new. When I was a child, I had never heard this word. I had always heard love for God, love for parents, but never self-love. I had never heard. But later, when I started reading foreign magazines, when I started watching foreign videos, I came across this concept of self-love. Primarily, as I understand, what it means is that you don't interfere into my affairs. I have the freedom to do what I like to do, to the extent of being indisciplined. So you don't follow any discipline. Those who don't follow any discipline, they would highlight and propagate this concept of self-love. Coming back to that, when a mother loves a child, what does she do? She always tells him, you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot go near to fire. But that doesn't mean shit. And when you talk about self-love, when you love your body, means you will abuse, you will take drugs, you will take alcohol, you will take cigarette, you will do all kinds of things which are unhealthy for you, which is detrimental for your health, and in the name of self-love. You say, no. I love myself, I enjoy, I'm having fun. That is what they say. And the modern generation is obsessed with this word, self-love. Another word is, I need my space. So we are not discussing that word today. You see, our Indian culture, primarily all the cultures in the East, had a word called sacrifice. Mother sacrificed for the child. Father sacrificed for the family. So we had this concept of sacrifice. Mother sacrificed everything. Her peace, her sleep of night. I remember my mother. She used to be awake whole night just because I should not sleep in the night while preparing for my chartered accountancy. Gopal must be witness to that. My mother used to prepare tea for me in the night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I remember that. What do you call that? If she had self-love, she shouldn't have done all this for me. It was pure sacrifice. It's not that she was not a human being. She did not want to sleep. No. Night, 2 o'clock, she would come and knock my door and check whether I'm sleeping or awake. 3 o'clock, she would come. 4 o'clock, she would come. I mean, today when I look back, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Those who propagate self-love, they cannot do this. It is impossible to even imagine. And I'm not exaggerating this. When I'm saying this, Gopal, I don't know whether you remember this or not. My mother at times used to cook for me in the night, 2 o'clock. She would make halwa for me in the night, 2 o'clock.
I was party to it.
He was party to it. And she would make so that I don't fall off to sleep.
Not I, we all.
She would say that, okay, I'll make halwa for you. Don't sleep, but I'll make it at 3 o'clock, not now. So you study, keep studying, then I'll make it for you. Oh, look at that. What words do you have to explain that? That's mother sacrifice. And today we are talking about self-love. There is a story in Bhagavad where Bhagwan Krishna goes to Duryodhan and tells him that, okay, now go for settlement. What you do, you don't want to give 50% of your kingdom. Very good. Nice. You give only 5 villages as a settlement, and I'll make sure that Pandavas agree to your settlement. So you just give 5 villages, that's all, nothing much. Duryodhan refuses. He says, no, I wouldn't give an inch of land. Forget 5 villages. Forget 50%. I won't give anything. Krishna says, but this is a sin. This is injustice. This is crime. Then Duryodhan retaliates and says, Krishna, don't teach me what is pap. Don't teach me what is punya. I know what is pap. I know what is punya. I know all this. You don't have to tell me, Krishna. I know all this. But I don't feel like doing it. That's it. We all are like that. We know what is right for us. We know what is wrong for us. Still, we choose to do at times the wrong things. It's not that you don't understand alcohol is not good for you. It's not that you don't understand drugs are not good for you. You all understand. But still we indulge into that. Still we do many things which we understand. So Duryodhan said the same thing. Don't teach me. I understand everything. I know everything. But my temperament is like that. My tendencies are like that. I cannot do the right things because my tendencies, I understand, but still I cannot. You see, when we talk about love, let us compare that with flower. When flower gives its fragrance, does it give in a particular direction? Is it dependent on how many people will be around that flower? Does the flower care whether people will walk in near to that flower? Nothing. Flower gives fragrance on its own, without a purpose, without a direction, without a motive. Love is something like that. Love does not have a direction. Love does not have that you love somebody. There's no duality. There is no duality. Somebody loves you. We understand love in that way. But honestly speaking, if you go to Bible, the concept is love is God. Now, what does it mean? Love is God. And in other passage it is said, God is love. And it is very prominently written there in Bible. Love is God. God is love. No. Love is undirected. Love is like that fragrance. If you understand love, you understand God, because love is God. We understand love in the sense, he does not love me, or I do not love, or whatever, in that sense. There is a duality. There's a direction. But when we read the scriptures, they do not talk about love in that sense. There is another concept. Before we go to that concept, we all have seen that, what do you call that? A butterfly. Now, before that butterfly becomes a butterfly, that stage that butterfly has to go through, the butterfly has to go through that struggle. And then only it can come out of that cocoon, that it's called caterpillar. So that caterpillar becomes a butterfly. Now the whole process is very painful. Whole process is very, requires a lot of patience. If you help that caterpillar, that caterpillar will not become a butterfly. Do you know that? If you see in your, say you have a backyard, in your home, there is a plant and you see a caterpillar there. And every day you see that caterpillar struggling. And finally, one day that caterpillar becomes butterfly. If you, out of compassion, wants to help that caterpillar, wants to help, what will happen? It will never become a butterfly. But what do we do in life? We don't want our children to struggle. We don't want them to go through any kind of struggle. We don't want them to become butterfly. We want them to remain caterpillar. Because children never have to understand what is struggle. And if you have to live a successful life, you have to go through struggle, failures. For instance, I tell you, the new age parents, they will never scold their child. They will never, they will get everything what a child needs. But real life doesn't run like that. Real life doesn't run like that. You work in an organization, your boss is going to scold you. You cannot tell your boss, oh, my mother, father never scolded me and you are scolding me. Rubbish. Maybe your school teacher may not scold you because now education policy is like that. But your boss can scold you, boss can sack you, boss can throw you out of the office. Your colleagues can insult you. Society, many people can insult you. So what will happen? That child might go into depression because he has not faced such situations in life. He's not faced opposition. He's not faced such like situations. And now, coupled with that, the child now talks about self-love. How fragile is that child? He remains a caterpillar all his life, and then he talks about this self-love. All of us, including the children, we want to do what we like to do. That's the concept of self-love. Don't tell me what to do. I want to do in my way. I don't want to know what is the right way, but I want to do things in my way. My way or highway. Everybody, I feel like doing it. That's it. That's the ultimate. I feel like doing it. So, what you are governed by your mind. A mind can be your worst enemy. If you are not the boss of your mind, mind will always tell you to do wrong things in life. If you follow your mind, mind will always guide you to do wrong things in life. Unless until you govern the mind, you take the reins of the mind, you apply intellect over your mind, you take control of your mind. And there are many ways to control the mind. We are not talking about that. So you follow whatever mind tells you. Mind tells you, let's have beer. Well, I'll have beer. Mind tells you that let's have drugs. We'll have drugs. Mind tells you, let's go for holiday. I'll go for holiday. So you are governed by mind. This concept of self-love is also governed by mind. But in reality, life cannot be lived like that. In reality, life can only be lived with discipline, with sacrifice. So you want to be indisciplined because I believe in self-love. I want to have freedom without responsibility because I believe in self-love. Those who are irresponsible and they want freedom, they talk about self-love. So many, I'll tell you one funny incident. The concept came into prominence with one advertisement in America of that soap, Dove. All of you are familiar with that soap, Dove. That commercial promoted the concept of self-love, 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 self-love. And so much they promoted the concept that people started believing. Oprah Winfrey started speaking on self-love. So many people have started writing articles on self-love. So many articles on internet and all. And people started believing in America. And when America believes, we are not behind that. We also started believing. They forgot love for Jesus. They started something new. Self-love, self-love, self-love. And a lot of feminist movements were there in America. I told you there was one movement, I don't remember the name, where the girls would write the word love on their hand, love on their t-shirt, and they would wear a locket with that love sign. That became a fashion in America. And that was sometime in 1950s. Love, love, I love myself. That became a fashionable statement. If self-love is true, or if self-love is to be believed, then Mother Teresa was wrong. Then Mother Teresa was wrong. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was wrong. And there are so many examples in the history. Shivaji was wrong. So many people, they have sacrificed so much in their life. If they had self-love, probably they wouldn't have done. So this concept of self-love is little misplaced. If to an army man, you say self-love, self-love, what will happen? The country will lose the battle. You teach Indian army self-love, self-love. Finish. The territory will be. So they are sacrificing their whole life. They are living in adversity. So think about it. It's discipline. It's the discipline of Indian army, the sacrifice of Indian army, the patriotism of Indian army, the nationalism of Indian army. all that will be lost, all that will be in vain when we talk about self-love. Self-love is, I will give highest comfort to myself. I am over society. The nearest, you wouldn't believe, since I had to speak on this topic today, yesterday I was trying to find out more on self-love. And I was so unsuccessful, I could not find a single passage in Bhagavad Gita, a single passage in Ramayana, single passage in Bible, even in Buddhism, on self-love. And I'm not aware about other religions because I only tried to look into these. The nearest I came on self-love was in one passage in Bible. Nearest. There is no direct reference to self-love in Bible. But yes, there is one reference to self-love indirectly. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. That is the nearest I could come to this. Yesterday I spent at least 3 to 4 hours searching on self-love. Because I thought Aruna ji has asked this, so there must be some trick into it. Because I had my own idea, but then still I said, let me see what is the idea prevalent. And I could not find out a single passage in Bhagavad Gita. So this is the nearest. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Now here, don't make a very motivated interpretation of this passage. The interpretation is, Bible is talking about brotherly love, neighborly love, social love. So that is the meaning of the sentence. And that is the nearest. And many churches have clearly expressed that self-love is opposed to love for God. Many churches have clearly stated. And as I told you, self-love is a sin, has also been stated by a lot of churches. Even Bhagwan Buddha said that the root cause of any problem or of any evil is desire for self. And this is the biggest desire, self-love. Desire for self. That leads to evil. So this is Gautam Buddha said. And there are many such passages in the scriptures. Now, let's come to, there was a concept by one American author that is called ethical egoism. Ethical egoism. I'm forgetting the name of the book. There he spoke about social pleasures and individual pleasure. Social pleasure and individual pleasure. And he said self-love is a concept of individual pleasure. You are maximizing your own pleasure. He said that is the concept of self-love. And we know that maximizing on individual happiness would ruin the society, would ruin the family, would ruin the nation. We believe in values called sacrifice, discipline, freedom for all, not freedom for self. You see, there was a movement in America, black is beautiful, black is beautiful. That also came also in 50s only. They also started propagating this self-love, self-love. Because when they were talking about equality, black and white equality, so that slogan came into prominence. Black is beautiful. There again, they started propagating. A lot of feminist movements were there in America, and directly, indirectly, they were promoting self-love. If you talk about Ramayana, Now, which character, starting from Bhagwan Ram, Lakshman, Sita, which character had self-love? Everybody had sacrifice. Everybody is outsmarting the other in sacrifice. Sacrifice of Bharat, sacrifice of Ram, everybody. Where is the concept of that self-love? It's not there. There is a story in Bhagavad Gita where Duryodhan, the blind king, is asking Sanjay. Sanjay was his charioteer and his secretary also. He's asking him that Sanjay, you can see the battlefield.
Dhritarashtra.
Sorry, Dhritarashtra.
Not Duryodhana.
Duryodhana, yeah, Dhritarashtra, his father, yes. So he's asking, Sanjay, you can see the battlefield. So just explain to me the lineup. He said on one side is the Kauravas, the other side is the Pandavas. And so is in the Kauravas, so is in the Pandavas, and so much is the strength of Kauravas. And he gives a full visual description of the whole battlefield. And the war is about to begin. And then Dhritarashtra asks Sanjay, now you have seen the battlefield. Now tell me, who's going to win the war? Anybody would ask when you go to see a cricket match, obviously people ask, okay, who's going to win? Similarly, Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay, who's going to win? Now Sanjay starts smiling. He starts smiling. He says, sir, why do you ask me this question? He said, no, I want to know who's going to win. Sanjay starts laughing. He said, this is very ridiculous. The kind of question you're asking is very ridiculous. He says, why? He says, it's very obvious who's going to win. It's very, very obvious who's going to win. What is there to know? What is there to ask? What is there to inquire into this? He became even more curious that what kind of answer is this? Then he says, which is the last slok of Bhagavad Gita. The first slok of Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Kshetre, Kuru Kshetre, that's the first slok. We all know this. The first, where Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay, and the last slok of Bhagavad Gita, where Sanjay is replying to Dhritarashtra. The answer to this question is in the last slok. So you have to wait for an entire 18 chapters to know the answer. So he takes you through the whole Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters, 700 sloks, and then finally he gives the answer. Look at that. So he says the answer is very obvious. Where there is Yogeshwar Krishna, where there is Dhanurdhar, the archer Arjun. So wherever there is God, there is victory. So if two sides are fighting, who is going to win? Wherever there is God. That was his answer. So Krishna is on the side of Pandavas. So why do you ask this question? Who's going to win? The answer is obvious. So the last slok, I don't remember, let me find out and I'll read out to you. Yes. Yatra Yogeshwar Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir Vijayo, Bhutir Dhruva, Nitir Matir Mam. It means wherever there is Krishna, the master of mystic, wherever there is Arjun, the archer, there is opulence, there is victory, there is extraordinary power, and there is morality. And it is obvious. Now, Arjun is not winning a war because of self-love. He is winning a war because love for Krishna. So any battle you can win if you have love for the Almighty. You can, as per the answer of Sanjay, you can have opulence, you can have victory, you can have power, and you can have morality. All the four will come to you only if you have Krishna in your life, if you have love for Krishna. If Krishna is your charioteer, if he is with you, who can defeat you? Self-love can never win a war for you. It is love for God which can win a war for you. There's a story that old Cherokee, that's an old tribe in America. So a grandson asked the grandfather, "Grandfather, there is," or let me rephrase the story. Grandfather told the grandson, that there's always a war going on between the good and the evil. There's always a war, and that war is going within you, inside you. So the grandson asked, "Who wins the war?" So grandfather said, "Whomever you feed." So the good can win if you're feeding good all the time. The bad will win if you're feeding bad all the time. So it depends on you. What is your objective of life? What is your view of life? What is your concept of discipline? What is your concept of sacrifice? What is your concept of family? And it's very easy for us and be convinced that love for God is supreme. But maybe it may be very difficult for the new generation to be convinced about this, because they've read so much about self-love, so much videos they've seen on self-love. It may be a little challenging for them to swallow this. So my dear friends, I would like to tell you that self-love, if at all you believe in this word, then self-love is self-discipline. Self-love is responsibility. Self-love is not freedom without responsibility. Self-love is not without any basis. Self-love is not without any merit. Self-love is not without any purpose, if at all you believe in that concept. But this word does not exist into any of the spiritual scriptures as far as I've gone through. If you have come across anything, do tell me when we have a question and answer. Now the floor is open. Let us discuss. Even there is a concept in Bible, love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. There is a concept in Bible. With all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. So love the Lord. Even Aristotle said that this is not a proper concept. There are so many philosophers have spoken about it. Churches have spoken about it. But in 1950, one movement started where they propagated this concept, and it is so well propagated that today the world has started believing in this concept of self-love. And I told you there was one commercial of Dove, that soap, where they were promoting this word, self-appreciation, beauty care, beauty. I mean, that word they instilled in your mind. Yes, any question, please?
Yeah, one question, Via. So what we understand from whatever we heard till now, so therefore self-love is complete. It's a completely negative concept. There's nothing good or positive about it.
There's nothing good or positive. Yeah, it's more narcissist or selfish, to be little blunt. Yes, self-love is trying to be selfish. You're trying to be
other than self-discipline.
But that is not the meaning they take.
But that's the only part positive.
Had they taken that meaning of the word, still it would have made some sense. But that's not the discipline. When they came out in the rallies in America with a placard, self-love, they did not mean that. They meant freedom. They meant indiscipline. They meant that you don't regulate us. Don't tell us what to wear. There was a movement in America about clothing also. You don't tell me what to wear. I will wear what I like to wear. I will do what I like to do. Don't tell me what to do. So they have had so many campaigns and movements in America. And from there, this word came, self-love.
How do we respond
Sorry.
Yeah. How do we respond to a statement that if I don't if I look in the mirror and if I don't love myself, how will I attract others and how will others love me?
No,
I should love myself. Then others can love me.
Like some people are full of themselves. They like me.
Conceited.
So I call them mirror guys. Mirror guys because so much they are in love with themselves. They like to see themselves in a mirror all the time.
Amar, if you are the army general, would you like to promote this idea to your all the army Jawans? That look yourself in the mirror. A war has broken out on the border, and you look in the mirror. The strongest race in the world, Sikhs. Shivaji, look at their contribution, sacrifice. In fact, in the Sikhism, they banned looking at mirror. Do you know that? That you need not look in the mirror. That's why they stopped cutting their hair. They stopped beautifying themselves because the mirror goes against that philosophy. Yes, Arunaji, your concept. Now you should have a strong, powerful rebuttal to this.
I have a little bit to say about this. Is that I totally understand. You talked about the negative side of it, which we all understand very well, and you made it very clear. The other side, which somebody just asked, if we want to look good and all that, as
long as you want to look good without trampling upon others' freedom, others' freedom or their independence, it's okay. There's nothing wrong. You want to look beautiful, that's okay. There's nothing wrong. But you want to look beautiful at the cost of at the cost of family.
I have two words to explain. That is, one is self-full and selfish. We should not be selfish, but we can be self-full. That whatever we have is also enough. And if we want to enhance that, we have freedom to enhance, but not at cost of anybody to hurt or, we don't have to hurt anybody in the process.
Yes, perfectly fine.
So that's what I take it like.
See, this word does not exist anywhere, neither in the literature nor in the scriptures. It came into prominence with that that name. What did I tell you? Beat generation. That was association of American authors. They came out with a movement called Beat Generation. They came out with a combined compilation of a lot of articles. So there this word got prominence, self-love, self-love, self-love. There is a lady known to me and Catherine. She had a little bit of money and she collected more money for what? For cosmetic surgery of her face. She wanted to do a facelift. Which cost her $6,000. Now that $6,000 she could have spent for child's education. But she preferred to spend it on her cosmetic surgery. That is self-love. She would justify it's self-love. She is not a rich lady. She lives hand to mouth. But she decided to borrow from people and go for cosmetic surgery. Catherine knows that lady very well. I know her very well. So it's okay. Now that is her way of thinking. Child's education is not important for her. Self-love is more important. It's okay. So self-love is basically anti-humanity, anti-society, anti-family, anti-nation, and self-love is a bogus concept. Self-love does not exist in scriptures, did not exist in literature. Shakespeare did not talk about it. Wordsworth did not talk about it. Milton did not talk about it. No Indian author spoke about it. Even till today, no, I have not read a single poetry on self-love. Swadharma, I've read Swadharma, but not on self-love. So this is a created concept in 1950. See, these Americans are very good in creating concepts and words. They created and the whole world believed. And because of repetition, repetitively, you are hammered, self-love, self-love. And then, you know, this is a feminist movement. Only women in America, they spoke about self-love. They said, no, we have the right to be ourselves. Yes, you have the right to be yourself. Who stopped? And just wearing those badges of love, 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 wearing those bangles of love, wearing that sign of love. I mean, how does it promote self-love? That is how they promote it in America. That is how they promote it. And now, surprisingly, a lot of people believe in self-love. Surprisingly, a lot of believe. And there are many churches who have outright rejected this concept. They said self-love is against love of God, against love for Jesus. They have said it in, very clearly. They said self-love is a sin. This is what church has said. The prominent church have said very clearly, self-love is sin. So period. So all that self-love will give you confidence, all that is a misplaced argument. Self-love will give self-love will give you success. Self-love will make you selfish. Self-love will make you narcissist. Self-love will make you self-conceited. Fine, you should be capable. So use the word capability. You want to have discipline, use the word discipline. Why do you use the word self-love? Keep it out of the dictionary. So you say you want to make your child disciplined. Tell him, son, be disciplined. Use the word discipline. You don't tell him have self-love, have self-love, have self-love. You are confusing him, and probably it might take a wrong direction. So you don't have to tell your family people at home should have self-love, should have self. No need. Tell them directly what you mean. So indirect reference, you want a better quality, you want confidence. Tell them, build up confidence, have self-confidence. Nothing wrong. But no, self-love. Through self-love, self-love. Wonderful.
Right.
I'll give you an analogy. A teacher said, A is equal to B, B is equal to C. Therefore, A is equal to C. The student said, yes, sir, I agree. So a student said, sir, I love you. Teacher was very happy. Sir, you love your daughter. Teacher was equally happy. Then he said, third sentence, I need not speak to you. So these logic and all are nuisance. So A is equal to B, B is equal to C, A is equal to C. Very good. So that does not hold true in life. I love my teacher, teacher loves his daughter, so I should love his daughter. No, these are all logical things. You can prove anything by anything. With logic, with the help of logic, man is part of God, man is an animal, man is divine, anything can be proven by this. But the substance is that self-love is a human created concept, artificially created concept, forcibly created concept. It is a concept of where they want to take revenge with the society. This concept was also propagated by hippies in America. When the hippies were into drugs and all, they spoke about this, self-love. I want to take drugs. No, don't stop me. Self-love. I love myself. I'm enjoying. I'm having fun. You don't bother me. The concept is I love myself. I love so much that I will take drugs. Don't stop me, please. So just for the sake of argument, we said that self-love, if at all it has to be believed, then self-love should be discipline. That's all. Self-discipline.
Gopalji, I was studying about selfie culture. Many psychologists in US have declared this as a mental disorder. Taking too many selfies, the whole phenomena of selfie is a mental disorder. Because it is like proving oneself for perfection. Everybody want to look good in the picture. Everybody want to look good in the Facebook. Everybody want to look good in the YouTube, Instagram. So in reality, they are not that. So hence,
when we are taking it to too extreme, that is bad.
no,
No?
everybody takes it to extremes. When you go to a restaurant, you take 200 pictures of the food. You just want to show the world that you're having a beautiful life.
In Indian Railways, selfie has been banned. Do you know that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Why?
I did not know.
Because it caused so many deaths. Because they were standing on the track and taking selfie, and so it was banned in Indian Railways. You cannot take selfie anymore
So
on the
I
station.
guess selfie as derived from self-love. This is my connection. It is all about me, I, me, myself.
No,
So-
not really. It's just a harmless thing.
No,
Very
but
harmless
it is
thing.
too much. Before, digital camera was supposed to be
No, there was no
a special
opportunity.
thing.
Now there's opportunity, and when something comes up new, it goes more and more. Then after that, it slowly.
Phase.
If you have love for friends, what do you call it? Friendship. If you have love for parents, what do you call it? Respect. If you have love for your beloved, what do you call it? Romance. If you have love for God, what do you call it? Devotion. And if you have love for self, only and only if you call it discipline, then it is positive. Otherwise, if you don't call it discipline, then it is highly, highly negative.